So new Spellforce is out, or new DLC. I'm loving this game as always, and a lot's changed. And I was doing some just basic research, labbing kind of stuff, and I thought, you know what, I should document this. So this video is going to be focused on the different ways you can start your game. What if you pick a custom mage or even a standard mage? What things are affecting your start, and how does that affect your thought process at approaching the larger map? So we're just going to do Path of the Circle. Obviously, we're going to stick with custom mage here. First things first, depending on which one of these you pick, depends on what apprentice you get. We're going to pick alchemy to start, and then depending on which one of these you pick, depends on what your starting stack is. We're going to pick nature because that's standard alchemist, and we'll go from there. Depending on your secondary school, just changes the page you get. So do whatever you want here. This is kind of your flex pick. It doesn't affect your start in any way, shape, or form. So we'll just do standard alchemist. And then Golden Fields is fine, blah, 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 balanced, just to show one thing real quick. I like turning these off if I were really playing. There are a lot. And then we're good. So, remember that I've picked Alchemist and Nature, and that's like a standard Alchemist. So what will happen is we get our guy, we can rush off to the tower. They've added this option which says, hey, I know what I'm doing, so jump ahead, and it gives me my stuff. And it also spawns bad guys and things like that. Yay, I can fight my demon. Sometimes he gets lost. So, because I picked Alchemist, I get Nalkis of Konarak, or whatever. Point is he's got white damage for ranged, physical for melee, which I think everyone's got physical for melee. I haven't checked yet. And first aid, which is heal 30. So he's really good at keeping stuff alive. That's good because you can get a lot of really powerful units, like the Rangers, that can gain experience early and keep them healthy. He also then works pretty well with tanky units. With that in mind, let me quickly just do kind of my standard start here. You go there. Cool, free guy. And there. Cool, free gold. We would do this. Some of this will just matter for financial reasons. You go there. And you would probably just go this way. And then you go there. And we can give them gold, and boom. We've got a nice tier 2 stack of units with some tier 1s. I could even go over here to buy the soldier that this sells. Do you have enough move? No. If I could get to 32 gold. And then I'd have 3 tier 2 units and a tier 1 in my starting stack, which is nice with a guy who can heal them, especially the cutthroats and the soldiers who are going to be on the front line, so my ranger can sit in the back, as can my hero, healing and shooting. And the ranger just casting volley to eliminate, a ton of things at once. So, this starting stack is, I think, one of the best. The ranger is an incredibly good tier 2 unit. Volley is super, super powerful, especially on the Alchemist, who can get Eagle Potion and make it so you can just do it from max range rather than have to get close to get green shots. And the upgrades they get are really good. They get all sorts of different damage channels like fire arrows, piercing arrows, etc. Very, very good unit. As far as, air quotes, garbage units go, wolves are not bad. Pack Tactics means that with goblins who get Pack Tactics, you can get a nice kind of garbage stack going. And they can get like Forest Guide and things like that, and they're good scouts because they ignore the movement penalties of forests. So I think Nature is one of the best starting schools, especially for Alchemist, because of course it synergizes with completing their quest, because they can get Primordial Forest and Beast Taming and get their class quest done really quickly. So that's my take on the Nature Alchemist, the Nature and the Alchemist start. Of note, whenever you're picking Alchemist, keep in mind you're going to have white damage and healing. Whenever you're picking Nature, you're going to have good range damage and some decent beast units. So that's kind of the takeaway from this. So now we're going to go to the main menu, and we're going to do this again. Start campaign, blah, blah, custom mage. We're going to be a Necromancer. Screw it, we'll pick Death. I won't go off the beaten path yet, but we'll give him like Earthmaster for a second tome. Yep, sure. Please bear with me on the loading screen. I still haven't figured out how to properly edit my videos. I roughly know how. My wife does it for a hobby, and yet here I am, being lazy. I know what to do! Yay! Okay, so Once again, same start, same stuff, but now we have different units. So, you will note that we have Jonathan the Necromancer, who looks really cool. I wish the rest of them looked as cool as that. The later apprentices don't have this cool robe style. I'd love for that upgraded. Anyways, who cares? Physical melee, death ranged, and raise undead. So he can summon walking corpses from a corpse. So if you can get that first kill, or even sacrifice your own unit to get a body on the field, he can start making extra bodies. And then we also got a Necro Minion, which is just like the Alchemist Minion. In fact, I kind of hate that it's a palette swap, with Death Bolts. And it comes with Soul Catcher, which, you know, means you're more likely to get Soul Drops. So you're going to want to keep this one in your army. I send the Alchemist Minion off to go farm things. Him you want to keep in your army because you need as much Soul Catcher as you can get. And finally, he comes with some ghouls, looking all friendly there. They're a great kind of tank. And the Plague Bearers, who, as they kill things, can make more things. And they also do death damage. So compared to the start I just showed you, what does this mean? Obviously, I'd still go get my tier 2 units, yada, yada, yada. But it means, first of all, I'm going to prioritize, like I always get Wisp first, but I'm going to prioritize Aid right after that because my main mage has no regeneration. Do you regenerate? I've never checked. Yeah, you do. And neither do the rest of my basic stack. None of these guys will heal turn over turn. They will only heal if you cast Aid on them, if you get certain passive skills, or in the case of the ghouls, they can use Consume Corpse in the battle. So it's actually hard to keep them healthy, so you're going to want to grab Aid earlier. Further, as those of you who've played before know, I wonder if I can just rush over here and show you. Yeah, this pit down here is a giant undead area. It's probably not great to send them... Well, the Necromancer wants to go there early, but I also am going to want to think about how do I get white damage, because Necromancers or undead are weak to white damage, and my starting army doesn't have any white damage. It has all this death damage that they're naturally resistant to. So I'm probably going to want to summon more Wisps. Wisps are incredibly good at range. They're just great units. Like, don't think of these as just scouts. They're wonderful frontline tanks because they have physical resistance and they deal white damage, so they're wonderful at killing the undead, and they're ranged units. Build more Wisps. Oh, and they fly, so they can easily position on the map wherever you need to go. You want them to go tie up an archer in melee so they can't shoot your team? Use a Wisp. You want to go kill a bunch of undead? Use a Wisp. Always, always, always more Wisps. So that's kind of my take on Death as a starting tome, which, of course, yeah, you get the pages too, but I'm not talking about the starting spells as much yet, mostly because I don't know them by heart, and the Death Mage with the Necromancer. So, back once again, main menu. As I desperately try to ignore my Discord notifications. Whee! So, custom mage, we're going to do artificing. And for this one, we'll do... Let's do enchantment. I want to show off why, because I think it's actually either a really good or a really bad idea for him, I forget. Second school doesn't matter, none of this matters for this example. I'm not showing you optimal builds, I'm just trying to cycle through all of them to quickly show you what they have, so you can start thinking of things you want to try. So, yep, we got an Artificer minion, which has fire. Again, wish they weren't a palette swap, and Minor. I would love for that little change to come in a future free LC. I right-click, by the way, to fast-forward all these animations. Oops, oh well. So they get Forlong, the Iron Bend, who, oh yeah, he has Stone Fist, which is physical, and he has Summon Barrier. That's what it was. So he can block things. Summon Barrier is a really weird spell for a starting apprentice. He can block stuff off, but also, I don't know how much that's... Like, that's probably one of the hardest things I think to get usage out of as a beginner, which doesn't matter because Artificers are great. So, in my stack, though, you'll note I didn't get 3 units. I just got 2. And I got Phantom Warriors, and I got Jelly Critters. Note, both of these are fantastic. Because they're fantastic, they do not gain experience. That's the whole point of the enchantment school, is to buff up your fantastic units and make them better, because they can't level up and get better over time otherwise. However, it works pretty well for the Artificer because they also can take glyphs. So keep in mind, if you're choosing enchantment as your primary school, you're going to be dealing with fantastic units, and that's a little bit different. Also, these Phantom Warriors are so good, as are these Jellies, arguably, as a nice ranged unit that flies. They don't give you another one. You just get the two. It's mostly because these guys are incredible. They are physical resistant 50% and elemental resistant 50%. There's not a lot that can do a ton of damage to them early. So they can just run out there and tank on the front lines. Now, they're not going to skill up as they fight. So you're not going to get cool skills like Blinding Power, Throw Powder, Throw Sand, Battle Cry, Flanking, Assassinate, whatever. But you can give them glyphs. So that's why I think it's a decent combo with the Artificer. As for this, yeah, I don't know. I've played the Artificer the least, just because, I don't know, it's... anytime I put time into this game, I'm always trying to optimize something, and that's just not something I care about as much. As far as map considerations, because you've got him, you probably wouldn't mind just diving right into the undead area, because he's doing white damage. Obviously, I wouldn't with this guy necessarily, because physical damage isn't awful versus death, but it's not great. So, you know, again, keep in mind the combos. Once more. As the whole world hits me up. Okay. Custom mage. We're up to demonology. Let's do something weird. We'll take Earthmaster with demonology. I have no idea if that is good or bad. I just haven't done it. Traditionally, they're occultism, which I know what that does, but yeah, So they, of course, start with Occultist. I really like Cultists. They're decent units, range death and high melee attack. They're pretty garbage stats-wise, but I mean, they're supposed to go and just establish a cult. I'll pick up Armana just because it's reflexes. Cool. Yerp. So, this is the starting apprentice for the Demonologist. Occult Invocation is crazy good in the early game. It summons an Ashen one, which is just a great unit, and you can summon it not right next to you, so you can just summon it in the back lines of the enemies, and they'll spend their entire turn attacking that thing, and it'll get to retaliate, and you can just summon more. The bleeding is fairly easy to stop as long as you have Cleanse or, I'm sorry, what's the other one? The Bandages, which can be found in your inventory. In fact, do you start with Bandages? You do not. I just start with that. Okay. So keep in mind, this is one of the best starting units, period. And this is because I picked Occultist. And in my tier 2, I picked Earth. So I get Earth Shapers, which have First Aid and Summon Barrier and Stone Fist, and Axe Wielders and Dwarven Workers. I didn't know I got 3. Oh. Dwarven Workers are really good because you can immediately go out and start collecting more of the stuff you're going to need. Axe Wielders have Mountaineering, so I'm probably going to want to think about maybe heading towards the mountains with these guys eventually, just to scout. And then the Earth Shaper, again, he's a healer and kind of a defensive unit, who's obviously very, very hard to kill, and Mountaineer. So he'll be good at keeping my units alive. So if I'm not playing, he's probably not, I probably don't want to do Necromancy Earth, because, I got a bunch of undead and he can't heal them. But if I'm doing, Alchemist or Astromancer, Earth might be a good pick. Obviously, it works well with Artificer too. And again, because I've got this natural stack of Mountaineer units, maybe I want to head north first and, fly off into the mountains. So, next one. And also a lot of physical damage, so you're not going to want to go... You're not going to want to go anywhere where you wind up fighting fantastical units, and you're going to want to have a plan for how you deal with those. So, Custom Mage, Demonology... Oops, did I... No, I just did Demonology, sorry. Astromancy. So, I've done Earth, I've done Death, I've done Enchantment. Let's do Guardian. Guardian Death, blah, 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 blah. Yep. You'll note they start with a Goblin Shaman because they don't have a class-specific unit, or rather, it has to be unlocked later. Really? I didn't know Guardian gave that. Neat. Oh yeah, I did. I tested it earlier. Okay, so Guardian's big thing is it gives you a Tier 2 Soldier and a Tier 2 Alchemist. Double Tier 2s, but they're, air quotes, weaker Tier 2s. Again, very good healer. decent front line. I'm not too impressed with soldiers, but I'm not like I prefer halberdiers. If I'm gonna have to level something up, I'll let my soldiers die, but they're not bad. Alchemists can be really, really, really good. So excellent starting unit. And then scouts are, what do you know, good scouts. There's not much more to say about them. They're mediocre in battle. I've never bothered to keep one alive long enough to level it up. And then over here, because we picked Astromancer, our new class, we get this guy. He's got the Icicle Cannon. Oh, right, it's elemental damage. And then he's got, physical melee. And it's like, oh, he doesn't seem to come with another starting skill. What's going on here? Well, that's because, one, he's a combat mage, which means he's better in melee. And you'll note that he's a lycanthrope, which is right here. So this unit gains Wereform during the full moon. The new DLC, and maybe the free LC, I'm not sure, adds the moon phases to the game. During the full moon, he gains plus 6 melee damage, plus 50% physical resistance, gets a little bit weaker in elemental and white, and gets 100 health and counts as a beast. That is crazy. So this guy is already a good starting hero, and by himself can probably just help clear stacks in the early game with just any sort of like backup. So again, things to think about, like, oh, I've got a bunch of healers, I've got a good melee tank. Obviously, I can be pretty reckless in the early game. Where am I going to go walk off into? Maybe I'll go into undead territory because I've got healers and elemental damage on my main guy. Maybe I'll go walk into beast territory because I want to get more beast synergy stuff going down the line. So finally, we only have that's all the, excuse me, that is all the starting classes or craftings. So we'll just do Demonology because whatever. We'll do Alchemy. I did Death, I did Earth, I did Enchantment, I did Guardian. Mentalism. Mentalism is one of my favorites because it comes with a really interesting starting unit. That's kind of where all of your power's balanced. Excuse me. But it's kind of specific. I'm currently doing an Alchemist Mentalist game. That's why I wanted to show you why I'm doing it. So I've got my Alchemist, who does white damage. And I've got my Mentalist stack, which came with 2 Militia. These are pretty lackluster. I don't know what to do with them. Like, I'll try and keep Goblin Archers and Brawlers alive. These guys don't seem to get anything super useful. They get Throw Sand, which isn't bad, but given how difficult it is to keep them alive, I tend to wind up sacrificing them. But that's because you get the Mentalists. They have Mind Control. Mind Control does not let you keep the unit, but if you can break their morale at all, this basically insta-kills the unit and turns it into a tank. And they have more white damage, and they have really, really good level ups, in my opinion. What does this mean? It means that my main hero has white damage, my Alchemist minion has white damage, and my Spell minion has white damage. I'm probably going to want to head to the Undead region almost immediately because I have a ton of white damage and I'm going to be able to cleave through them and clear out the stacks. So this is kind of an example of how you can think about these various synergies, how it's going to affect your plan at approaching the map. Obviously, none of this matters if you're playing random map. Can I see anything down here? No, I was just hoping I could see an undead stack. But even if you're playing a random map, you're going to want to think like, okay, it looks like there's no undead over here. Maybe I'll head this way and whatnot because, yeah, I'm naturally front-loaded with a lot of white damage. So we'll go again. I think I've got 2 left. Custom mage there. Let's do Artificer again. Guardian, Mentalism, Nature, Occultism, and Dreamweaving. Have I done? No, I haven't done Occultism or Dreamweaving. So we'll show off like what the standard Necromancer or Demonologist looks like for reasons. Standard-ish. I obviously didn't get the second page, but I love the art in this game so much. Cultists go here. Give me everything. Oh, hey, it's an Ashen one. It's those things I talked about. So, note, they are fantastic, so they're not going to gain levels, so you need to figure out what you're going to do with them. So maybe you combo this with Enchantment. They defy death if you win, which is incredible, and they can reduce elemental damage. So, or resistances. Oh, and also they're immune to fear, but that's less important. Incredibly good starting unit. In fact, so good you only get Goblin Archers, which of the starting Goblin units are probably the best. If you can somehow keep these alive, you can have a army of Ashen Ones and Demons on your front line, and these guys can be plinking away from 7 range with no damage reduction in the back. It's crazy good. And then, yeah, backed up by another guy summoning Ashen Ones and throwing fireballs everywhere and doing flaming... Oh, he does flaming strike in melee. I didn't even notice that. Most of them have physical melee damage. He's all fire. So again, I want to be very, very careful about fire-resistant areas like very south, but anywhere else, I'm probably good to roam. And then finally, last but not least, custom mage. I don't know, we'll do Astromancy again, because they get Dreamweaving. Okay, go to the tower immediately. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, that's fine. Good, 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 good. Oh, right, I forgot. Dreamweaving is the other one that has an incredible start, because you get Phantom Spiders, which have teleport. These are just brutally powerful starting units. Again, they're fantastic, so you might want to think of comboing it with Enchantment or something, and they deal white damage only, so it's important to remember that you probably don't want to be fighting other fantastic units that are, you know, oh no, other fantastic units are fine. You don't want to be fighting too many humans. Humans have white resistance, but yeah, this is an incredibly good unit. And then the spiders themselves, I've barely played with. Root is really good. They're obviously very, very good at flanking. They're obviously also made of paper, so I don't know what happens if you keep them alive, if they become incredibly good, because I haven't bothered. So yeah, them's the starting units. So remember, think about how you're going to start your game. In most areas that aren't golden fields, you're probably heading down to something like this, buying a unit. Now I've got another tier 2. And then we're going over to our inventory. We're selling whatever we think we don't need. So maybe I think I don't need ashes or whatnot. And we're getting our crafting room built. And then over here on the All-Flyer, I always set it to like level 9 at least, because you need to get your proficiency up ASAP. The most important things you want are your domain radius and apprentice slots going up. And tower rooms don't hurt either. In the early game, it's kind of hard to get your money. And then, yeah, early game goals, get a workshop, get a study, get your second apprentice, clear the starting quest, and then start working on your class quests. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I can get more people into this game. I cannot overstate how incredibly fun this game is and how many different ways there are to play and how many different things I've found. It's just... I know it can feel tedious, but once you start getting into the flow of it, the tedium goes away because you start realizing, oh, I just need to make sure I do this, this, and this, because that's actually another decision point that I ignored. Like, oh, where am I going to drop my domain? Oh, probably like down over here. Where am I going to move my tower when I can move it? Oh, I'm going to want to head up here. It's all really, really fun. So hope that all helped.